Hello everyone, welcome to Healing Dialogue, healing hearts and minds one episode at a time. My name is Carol.
My name is Janine and our topic is Here We Are Again. So it's been a really long while.
A proper while.
And honestly, we just want to say, start by saying that we've missed this. But we also needed space, personally.
Yeah. So life got in the way, and not in a small way. It was big. So
Yeah.
This is why we hadn't done a podcast up until this one just now.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of grief on both sides and having to deal with loss. And there were just moments when we weren't okay.
So instead of pushing through, we just kind of chose to pause on some aspects of life.
Sometimes I think the most important thing you can do is just to be gentle with yourself.
Oh yeah, always.
And just to say, what we share here is our own experience and educational information. If you are struggling, please reach out to your GP.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a space for real conversations.
Yeah. So, Carol, what happened this year?
Okay, so huge, big grief, and I really struggled, and struggling with the grief. It just didn't follow any rules.
No, and it doesn't care much about your plans either.
Oh my lordy, 1 minute you're okay.
And the next moment something like just hits you and you're not okay.
And I just think that we both obviously have had grief this year, and that we'd learn just not to judge anything or even to judge that.
And, just speaking from my own experiences, through the years I've had a lot of grief. But each time it's been different, and each time I've had to be very gentle with myself. And, I've had to stop saying to myself, you should be fine by now. You've experienced this so many times before, but a lot of times in the last year that, I've said to myself, oh, you should be fine by now. You've experienced this so many times. You should be an expert by now.
I'm sure it just doesn't work like that. And I'm just going to start by saying I'm having a moment. Like when you're having a really tough time, I'm just like, I'm having a moment, and I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah. And I think that shift alone, moving from that pushing and you've got to be fine, to that moment where you're saying, okay, you know what, I need a moment and I'm allowed to pause. I think that's compassion for yourself, and I think even compassion for those around you that you have immediate that you deal with every day. Yeah.
Sure.
So I just thought that when we take a step back, it's not us giving up.
Well, it's actually caring for ourselves in a slightly different way, by putting whatever our needs are first. And they're going to vary from person to person depending on where you are in your grief or your day-to-day life.
I think that's something that we don't talk about enough. You don't have to push yourself through everything. We have that, I think, in the society that we live in. I think that's a lot of what we've been told, is to push through, carry on,
I just, sometimes the kind of one of the strongest things to do is just to pause. And by that, I mean, just take a really nice deep breath where you're standing, ground yourself. And all us kind of like lovely people who've got lots of tools keep telling people, just ground yourself. Well, if nobody knows what that means, it's actually just breathing, standing where you are, having the intention that you're like a tree, really, that you're grounding yourself into Mother Earth. And then that way you're kind of like becoming one with the nature.
And by breathing, you actually calm down your nervous system. But on a physiological level. So that's really important. It just calms you down, especially in those anxious moments, in those moments where you experience intense grief. It just allows your nervous systems to say, wait a minute, there's nothing attacking us, there's nothing wrong, we can regulate.
Yeah, and you breathe in, and you just got to be where you are at that minute in time.
And without fixing it straight away. You don't have to fix it straight away. Yeah. And I think that's really where healing dialogue is going.
Yeah, it's becoming more of a space where people are met with understanding first.
Yeah, not pressure, not judgment.
No.
And I think just...
compassion.
Yeah, compassion. And I think the time away, from doing the podcasts, has actually been really productive and proactive, even if it didn't feel like it for some of our viewers.
Yeah, we've been things have been quietly growing and kind of like the background while we're looking after our own needs. But at the same time, you need things to kind of like occupy you and keep you focused.
Yeah, and for me, with my gene counselling, but you know this, Carol, that I've been working on a framework to use in my counselling sessions, and I've worked really hard this year on the compassion first framework, and that was a lot of research, going back to the theories, rechecking and checking, and using it in my counselling, and I've really enjoyed it. And, from that came the grounding toolkit, the sensory grounding toolkit, which I've also really enjoyed, drawing on from past experiences, things that I've used in the past with other people, and, compiling and putting together. It's been a beautiful experience.
Oh, lovely. So you're talking about your grounding toolkit, and what is that?
Well, the sensory grounding toolkit are just little tools that can support you during moments of overwhelm or anxiousness or, disconnect. In those moments, you're using your bodies, your senses to actually regulate you. And, on Healing Dialogue, there's a blog post about, everybody thinks that adults should be able to regulate, but no one's actually taught us how to regulate, So, just it goes back to that it's just teaching ourselves again to regulate, and it's just supporting you through that journey of regulating your emotions in those times.
And so for people listening in, tell me where we can find that again.
Okay, so if you go onto the Healing Dialogue website, you'll find it there. It's healingdialogue.co.uk. It's also in the link. And if you just go there, you can just download it for free.
And what is it then? Is it a book? Is it a...
It's just a PDF. And
right.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good. And you've had some really good feedback from that.
Yes, no, very good feedback.
Oh, good.
So something else that I've been working on is, I've been looking at, from my own experience, perimenopause and menopause. And I find that it's a space where women are so often not met with compassion first. And I really just wanted to support women through that. So I use a lot of that for women that are struggling um, during this phase, and just supporting them with whatever medical support that they're already receiving, you know. So everything's on the site, on Healing Dialogue, as well as my own site, Gen Counseling. Um, and I'm just really proud of Carol. So in 2025, Carol just, it was just such a wonderful experience. I was part of it. I was actually, she used me as a client, like, yeah, using me to do her Reiki, and she achieved something. And I'm just, so happy that I was able to be a part of that. So, Carol, can you tell us about what you've done this year?
Okay, so this past year and to where we are today, I had a really tough year with really close bereavement, and I needed to find how to get through this. And I use the tools that I have from my energy modalities. And I had Reiki many, many years ago as a client, and then I went through the Reiki attunement processes. And last year, for some unknown reason, I decided to become a Reiki master teacher, and I did all of the training that's required. So now I can pass my knowledge on to others. And yeah, thank you, Genevieve, for being one of my very first. I used you as a little student mentor for me to pass my qualification, and and that's been kind of like a life game changer, really. And but that helps me in my everyday life as well. It's just, knowledge is a really lovely thing to learn, to share. And yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of like, passing on my knowledge to other people. And also, I really like forest bathing, and that's really good. Also, along the lines of Reiki for your nervous system, for it to help you sleep better, for it to help you kind of like ground yourself much better. And these are just some of the things that if people are interested in, that I can help them. Yeah, either by them being a client or through kind of educational. And I kind of do it through Healing Dialogue, but also come under the name of the Spiritual Adventurer. Yeah. Because that's what I feel life is. It's one adventure.
Yeah, and you on the website, so if you go on to healingdialogue.co.uk, you'll find Carol there, and that will connect you to the Spiritual Adventurer. Your Facebook and your Instagram page, beautiful pages. And yeah, I'm just really proud of you. It was a wonderful experience, and it was really nice to be there with you and see you get your certificate. And I'm also glad to share that moment with you, and it was really an honor to be part of that. So yeah, well, we've done a lot. It doesn't look like it because you haven't heard from us, but we've done a lot.
Yeah, and people can do things behind the scene and make their life take a different path, a different journey, or a different adventure. And who knows where it's going to lead you.
Yeah, and that's the exciting part, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Who would have believed we'd sit and do podcasts?
We still laugh about it. And just something else that's been growing quietly is the Healing Dialogue website, healingdialogue.co.uk, and also the social media platforms. So, yeah, that's just gone from strength to strength.
Yeah, so these are the things that we've been doing behind the scenes. So this all feels like a really big adventure, and if people want to obviously join our adventure, get education, get some support, get some help, so please go and have a look at healingdialogue.co.uk.
Yeah, because it's really a community, with a shared value base.
Yeah, I mean, who knows where it might take you, and you might find some support and help you navigate life's ups and downs.
Yeah. Even if it's just reading one of the blogs or, downloading some of the grounding tools and, just reading through. Have a look if you can. So, wherever you are right now, if things feel a bit heavy,
Or a wee bit messy.
or actually not what you expected.
Do you know what? You're allowed to be where you are, exactly where you are in life.
Yeah. And you don't need to rush it.
Yeah, please just take life one step at a time, one moment at a time.
So,
yeah.
I think that's all from us.
So thank you for listening, and
bye for now. Until next time.
again, it's cheerio from me. Till next time.